Guys, we are live, broadcasting from our homes in Omaha, Jacksonville, and Bakersfield, California. Hi, guys. How's it going
Hey,
today?
Hello. I'm ready. I'm ready for some Big Ten football.
We're ready for some Big Ten football. Paul, do you want to do our commercial sponsor real quick, and then we'll move on?
yeah, absolutely. So, first of all, hey, everybody, welcome into the show today. Fridays are my favorite show, and when we're doing our show and when we're not, we always like to use Sensi by Terry. Sorry, let's see. There we go. Nice,
there we
big,
go.
beautiful view of it right there. So, Sensi, these are waxes. They are fantastic. You put them in a warmer, they melt. They smell fantastic. You want your place to smell good. You want your place to look good. Do what the pros do. Visit Sensi's Terry's Sensi page, tarek.sensi.us. We'll leave the link up for you. It'll be in the description as well.
Thanks, guys. All right.
Go Hawks.
Yeah. Well, guys, we got our Iowa team going to Rutgers tomorrow. Piscataway? How do you say that?
Piscataway.
Piscataway.
Piscataway. That's a great.
Hey, isn't that where the groundhog sees its shadow or not? Is that where it's at?
I think you're right.
Oh no, that's Poscatani or something.
Yeah,
that's it.
Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, that's right.
You're not even in the right state.
I'm
Okay.
not.
All right, guys. I want to just start off a little bit. I want to hit our running back situation real quick. We've had 5 guys carry. Well, actually 6, but I didn't write him down. We've had mainly 5 guys do the bulk of the carries this year. And the guy who's carried the ball the most, of course, didn't play last week because he went home for a funeral. But he's also, even though he's carried the ball the most, just because Gavin wasn't around the first 2 weeks. And Caleb, it's Caleb Johnson, right? The rookie running back. He was ineffective his first 2 weeks until he figured it out last week. My question for you is LaShawn's back this week? Does he play? Because he's only carrying the ball 2.8 yards a carry, and the others are all over 3, pushing 4. Well, except for Caleb, who's at 8.3 for the year.
Can I jump in first?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So, well, we all know how Kirk is about loyalty and things like that. And certainly you don't lose your spot on the field because your dad dies. And so I do believe Gavin is our number one. LaShawn is a little bit of a different kind of running back, and so I do believe he's our number 2 situational back, a short yardage back kind of thing. And then it's Caleb is kind of our. I imagine he, I think we still want to get him touches, and he obviously has playmaking ability, but I do think he's probably still kind of third in line right now.
Right. Is this a situation where, because this is his freshman year, it'd be kind of like Tyler Goodson, who was getting touches at his freshman year, but then somewhere in the middle of the year, he took over the starting role and became the feature back? Do you guys see Johnson becoming the feature back before the season's over?
I don't. I think. Sorry for Jason. I'll let you answer.
Oh no. Finish your thing, and I'll jump.
I think Gavin is the back that we want to feature.
Okay.
When he's healthy and he's right, he's probably the guy that we want back there the most.
Okay.
Go ahead, Jason. What do you think?
Well, I just think it's going to be more of Johnson's going to get more and more carries, and it's going to be about pass pro. The reason why Goodson showed up as the best back on that squad, right?
Right.
And when he got the ball, kind of like what Johnson proved last week, he's got to do it more consistently. Because those first 2 weeks, and he even admitted in the post game that he was a little jittery. Remember, I told you he kept missing holes. He had a couple holes against South Dakota State that he just missed.
Right.
And then he actually was hitting them, and he actually saw them against Nevada. I think he's going to get more and more carries, and what's going to be is the pass pro. If Gavin keeps missing on his assignments on pass pro, we may see Johnson more, because then it really won't. What kept Goodson off the field was pass protection, right? Sargent is he was really good at identifying the blitz and picking up, the pass pro. And Gavin is, so far, he struggled. He gave up one of the sacks against Nevada. He just misjudged what happened. He went outside, and he didn't see the blitz was coming inside, so he didn't see it. He knew somebody was coming somewhere, but he just didn't know somewhere.
It's because these guys, they're coming out of high school. They're the featured backs in their high school team, and probably better than most people on the field. So these guys just get the ball. They don't have to pass protect. They just get the ball and run with it.
Well, yeah, and it's about being able to read. It's no different than a quarterback, right? A running back has to be able to see where the blitz is coming from. So that's a huge part in Iowa's offense. So I think if as long as Johnson is getting his yards, when he does touch the ball, I think you're going to see his carries go up. I don't think you'll see him be the feature to getting 15 to 20 carries. Okay. He may have games where he gets 10 carries.
Yeah. Okay. Also keep in mind too, with some of these opponents we've got coming up, Michigan, Ohio State, things like that. Kirk is going to desire to go with the known quantity, the guy that he feels like is going to protect the football the best. Maybe not the best playmaker, the guy with the biggest play potential, but I know he's nervous about handing the ball off to a true freshman. I mean, that's always in the back of his mind.
Right. But remember, LaShawn's already fumbled.
Right.
So he's going to, as long as Johnson keeps running the ball without fumbling it, he hasn't even dropped the ball, right? The ground hasn't even caused one yet.
Right.
So as long as he keeps running the ball without fumbling, you're right though. If he has one fumble, it's over. Right? That's just how Kirk is.
He used to be that way. Now it's just he might set him out for a little while and then put him back later.
Yeah, I mean, he's a true freshman. I mean, if a true freshman fumbles, that's the difference. That's why Wadley was so good even as a true freshman, but he kept fumbling the ball. Mm-hmm. And he was one of the few freshmen where he got multiple chances because of his talent. But then finally it was like, you know what, dude? You can't play. And then he came out his sophomore year and he started not fumbling, right?
Wadley erased all the good and all the love that he got as a Hawkeye by being a part of that lawsuit and accusing Brian of things. And it's just like, man, you just undid all the love and good memories that you gave the Hawkeyes.
We don't need to go there.
I know.
That and taking money for autographs for stuff he never sent. But,
we don't need to go there.
Were you burned on it?
What's that?
Were you the one that was burned on that, Paul?
I was not, but I know a lot of people who were. So
I know a lot of people that were as well. But anyway, I just think it's going to be as long as Johnson does his thing, right? Because he is hard to tackle. Mm-hmm. If you look at some of his runs, they weren't blocked very well, but he still gained 3 or 4 yards just because of how hard he is to tackle. He literally, and he doesn't stiff arm, which drives me absolutely crazy. When he figures out the stiff arm, he's going to be deadly, right? He still has that ball tucked in, and they're like jumping on, and he's just going. It's like, holy cow! If he learns a stiff arm, it's gonna be awesome watching him run the ball.
Yeah,
but I think he's gonna eventually end up getting 10 carries a game, maybe, if he continues to see the hole and stuff like that. Right. And like he said, the first 2 games he was just nervous.
Yeah,
he was just scared in the South Dakota State game. I mean, he admitted it. So, and then last week, obviously, he's starting to feel more and more.
His amount of work is also going to really depend on how many times can Iowa move the chains throughout a football game, because if we're doing a lot of 3 and outs, there's just not going to be a lot of opportunities to get him on the field.
Okay, so that's a good segue into this game, because My first thought was this is Rutgers. It should be another offense get healthy game. But in doing research on Rutgers, they look like they're a pretty formidable defensive team. What do you guys think about that? I mean, are we going to have a whole lot of trouble moving the ball on these guys? Or
Yes,
I think it's going to be I think Rutgers is a poor man's Iowa.
Mhm.
That's just what I mean. I really do. They're building their team just like Iowa. They want to be a defensive team, and their defense is pretty good. Iowa can still take advantage of their secondary. I mean, Iowa, if Petras has another game and Brian gets his way with the play calling, right? If he can call a game similar to what he did against Nevada, Iowa can score. But it might be tough sledding running the ball against Rutgers. They're a pretty good team at stopping the run. They win with defense. So, I mean, that's why I have this game as 10-0 Iowa, because I don't see Rutgers scoring unless Iowa's offense does something stupid.
I think the team that can get their punter in field position to pin the other back deep has the advantage, and both these punters have that capability of doing that. So it just depends on who gets the ball first and where do they punt it from.
The only team in the Big Ten right now today that has a worse QB situation than Iowa is Rutgers. And that's mostly because I think they have some injury issues at the position.
Yeah. They have a kid, it's actually from here, Wahoo, Nebraska, that and his brother's playing he transferred to Creighton Prep in Omaha. So what's his name? Vedral.
Nathan Vedral.
Noah Vedral. He went to Nebraska first, and he was actually their better quarterback, but they kept playing Martinez, and he went to Rutgers, and he's really good. I mean, he's for having the talent on offense that he had. Noah Vedral has actually done pretty well with Rutgers, but he's hurt. Their backup hurt. Now they're on their third string, which I believe is their true freshman that all the fans want to see anyway.
Yeah.
Like he's
I
five-star.
got down the quarterbacks. I've only listed 2 of them. Only 3 of them have thrown a pass this year. Simons or something. Looks like he got the bulk of the throws, and then a guy named Winsett.
Winsett's the kid that they love.
He's their current quarterback.
I think so, and he's got
the second most productive numbers, and then the only other one to throw a pass was, I couldn't remember his name, but he was only 1 for 1 and a 43-yard touchdown pass.
Yeah, it was probably a halfback pass or some stuff. But anyway, because Noah's been hurt since the off season.
So he hasn't even thrown a pass yet.
Yeah, Noah is their true number 1, but Winsett is like that guy that comes on campus as a 4 or 5 star that all the fans want to see.
Oh, okay.
So if he's the one that's going to start this week, he's not a good thrower, but he's a really good runner. So
yeah, he's got he's 10 for 23, so he's got a 43% throwing average. He's thrown for 117 yards, but has rushed for 106 for an 8.22 average. So yeah, he's a pretty good runner.
Yeah, no, he's a really good. That's what he does. Like that's his right now. He's working on his passing game. He's just he's raw, but I just don't. I see Iowa eating a lot, even with him.
Well, actually, this scares me then, because you know that we traditionally don't do well with
you
quarterbacks
keep saying
that can
that
run.
every week. Name me a running quarterback that runs on Iowa. When's the last running quarterback to run on Iowa?
Well, okay, you got me. I was also gonna say, but it seems like we're getting better there. Just like the last couple of years. You remember the knock on us used to be we could stop the run, but we couldn't stop the pass. Now it seems like the last few years our pass coverage has improved a lot. And now us chasing quarterbacks all over the backfield has improved a lot.
Yeah, I mean, we have 4 studs up front and then we have linebackers that can read. They can see, and they're fast, right? Mm-hmm. So they get to the running quarterback now. Whereas before, they would be back in pass coverage. I think as far as the running quarterback is concerned, I think Parker's adjusted his style. Right?
Okay.
Like he makes like one of the linebackers, whichever way he's scrambling, I think it's set up for one of the linebackers that's on that side of the field goes, right? Make him throw the ball. Don't let him run with it. So I just think Parker's probably adjusted his scheme with the running quarterback, and it has a lot to do with our front four too.
Okay, and in the rushing game, I want to talk about this guy. He's a tight end. I think his last name is Angan. He has 16 carries for 121 yards, and he's a tight end. Do they have some kind of a crazy offense that the tight end runs the ball?
I mean, I haven't seen it. Maybe he lines up at fullback. I mean, I'm not sure what they're doing with that. They're trying anything though. They're literally trying anything on offense. Mm-hmm. So if he's good with the ball in his hands, they can't throw it to him, right?
Right.
So they're trying to do whatever they can. They're the opposite of Iowa in that regard. They do all kinds of different things just to try to get something to work.
Okay.
I mean, I've watched their games. I guess I haven't noticed them running the tight end unless he plays fullback, right? Maybe they don't have a fullback, so they put him back there when they're in shotgun, split backs.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that actually makes sense when you talk about that, because I know Iowa's looped their fullbacks in with the tight ends.
Right. So that could be part of it. I mean, I'm really not sure on the whole tight end thing at Rutgers. What about you, Paul? You got anything?
Yeah, I haven't watched a minute of Rutgers football this year. I've seen some highlights, but
right.
I will say this: numbers can be misleading, especially if I think about Dallas Clark's 95-yard touchdown pass against Purdue, right? These are situations where, maybe this guy, some kind of fluky, picked up a fumble and ran it for 80 yards, and now his average is just, out of whack. I don't know. Why? How or why a tight end? Are we sure he's a tight end? I don't know. I mean,
no, that's what I'm saying.
He's listed as a tight end. Like I said, I've not watched a minute of Rutgers this year either. I would have if it was been available to me, but it hasn't been.
It could be a situation like my Broncos with Andrew Beck, to where he's number 83 because he's a tight end, but he also plays fullback, right? They don't have a fullback on the roster, but Andrew Beck is their fullback when they use a fullback.
Okay, but who's handing the ball to the fullback? This isn't the 72 Dolphins, right? He's not Larry Zonka.
Never know. I don't know how they're giving it to him. I've watched a little bit, but I haven't paid that close attention to who, because they run a lot out of the shotgun, at least what I've seen, obviously. Mm-hmm. But I'm not sure. Yeah. That's a good. I guess we'll find out.
This is a team averaging nearly 35 points a game with 13 touchdowns. And then you got Iowa and our average and one touchdown.
Can I talk to you about that a little bit? That's not the reality.
It's not even close.
That 35 points a game, 66 points were scored against Wagner.
Got it. I got it. Makes me feel a little better. Thank you, guys.
Let's talk about the shootout they were in with Temple. Okay.
Was that 10-3 or something?
No, it was 16-14. They won on a pick six.
That's right. I remember that now. They should have lost that game.
So I'm not overly concerned about the high octane offense that Rutgers is going to employ against us. I'm much more concerned about what they can do defensively because of how challenged we can be at times.
Right.
But I'm moderately hopeful that a change of scenery is actually going to help Spencer, because I mean, I think right. He feels the tension there at home, which is not a good thing. You don't want your quarterback feeling that way, but at least when he goes on the road, he knows that they don't hate Spencer the person, they hate the jersey. You know,
I keep hoping that this game will be like last year's Maryland game. We went to Maryland and just kind of ripped the Band-Aid off of that game. Wouldn't that be kind of cool if we just got there and everything just went our way?
Well,
Offensively, defensively, special teams, everything just happened.
Actually, no. I want it to go that way with just the offense. Like, I want the defense to shut them down, make them punt it, and I want the offense to score. That's what I want.
Okay, so we want the offense.
Yeah, I mean, we could have a game to where Iowa's defense gets 6 interceptions. That would be great. But again, to really change the narrative would be for the defense to do their thing, make Rutgers punt, and then just take the ball and go score with it.
Yeah. And honestly, though, Iowa needs to have those long patented drives that they're famous for. Because when they score quick, even when they do have the ball and they score quick within 5 or 6 scores, I don't like that because they're giving the ball back to the other team already. And I like those ones where on the 12th play of the drive or the 13th play of the drive, after 6 or 7 minutes, they score a touchdown.
That is
Iowa. Well, Iowa is now favored by 8, so people are putting money on Iowa, and the over/under. They're putting money on the under. So people are liking Iowa to probably shut out Rutgers because the over-under is 34, which is a record, by the way. Iowa has 2 of the top 3 records for
Iowa, Wisconsin 2017 or something was the other.
That was like 35, 36, somewhere in there. So,
and then if you go back to like 2001, I think it was Iowa and some other team. It's at like 34.5. Like,
guys, it's gonna get even worse when we play Wisconsin. That's gonna be a defensive battle, like kind of like that game we won, like 12-10 or something, or 12-9, whatever that game was, where the Wisconsin had a TD taken away from them on a controversial play.
We'll see, because we're talking about the over-under, and Wisconsin has an offense. So that over-under might be 40 up in the normal range for an Iowa game.
Oh, okay.
But as far as these records being broken is because Rutgers' offense is bad, and Iowa's offense is bad, right?
Right.
So they're and Iowa's defense is much better than Rutgers' defense, so they're expecting an Iowa win, which is why it's at 8 points. But like a 10-0 win type of they don't expect Rutgers to score.
Yeah.
Period.
We've played Rutgers twice, and I think the first time we played them, I think that was a very low scoring game too.
Yeah, they won 14-7.
I want to say like the Neiman's dad, he was their linebackers coach or defensive coordinator at the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Wadley scored on that weird outside run. It was all on Wadley to win the game 14-7. And then we blanked them in 2019.
Yeah.
Where Smith-Marset went off. Yeah. Nate Stanley
God,
and Marset.
It seems like we've played Rutgers more since they've joined the league than we played Ohio State in the last several years.
I think this will be our 3rd time playing Rutgers. So yeah, we've only played Ohio State once since what?
Yeah,
we haven't played them since the 55-24 game.
Right. But I think before that it was
even before that it was like 6 or 7 seasons before we played them.
Yeah, so
we've done a good job of avoiding them.
I don't think it's going to happen anymore. The schedule's starting to look like.
No, they avoid them again after this.
They do?
Did you see? Oh, the Nebraska fans are going nuts.
Why? Because Iowa's avoiding them?
I don't know if you want to get on. If we want to talk about this, but the Iowa schedule gets soft after this. Even like in 2024, they don't play Ohio State, and Nebraska does. Nebraska fans are mad, and Iowa fans are coming back with, well, you got to beat. I mean, you can't lose to the Rutgers and all those teams and expect, you got to beat somebody first before they're going to put you up against.
Also,
I wouldn't count on that 2024 schedule to be firm, since that's the year UCLA and USC come into the league.
But
yeah, I don't know. But that's what they're saying, though, right? And it could change, obviously, with USC and UCLA. But
you know what? But to piggyback off of Jason's point there, if you're Nebraska, don't complain about who Iowa is or isn't playing if you're not beating the Rutgers or the Marylands of the world. Illinois, right? Yeah, I mean,
Southern Illinois
about having to play Ohio State when you're beating the bottom feeders, the Indianas and the Illinois of the Big Ten. Okay,
wait a minute, Indiana's undefeated.
Oh well.
Well, they got a stud quarterback. I told you.
Yeah, but I hear what you're saying is they're not even beating the teams they should beat.
Right.
No, that's what we're saying.
Come back when you're at least bowl eligible, and then talk to us about schedule equity.
Yeah. But I had that team 7-5 in regular season, and they've already lost 2 games that I was counting on for their 7.
Well, I mean, like I said about Indiana. You brought up Indiana. Mm-hmm. I had them 5-7, but I told you about Bazelak. I had him as my the 5th best quarterback, I think, in 2019, 4th best. Like, he's a good quarterback, and they struggle in the first half, but then once they start using the quarterback in the passing game instead of running, which is what Bazelak should be used for, Indiana pulls it out. So I'm excited for Indiana. I like watching them. I'm glad Iowa doesn't play them.
Can I make a point about these teams that live and die by the transfer portal, and they're not recruiting guys?
Nebraska, Michigan State.
What I see in some of these situations is there is a difference between a team like Iowa, which has got the majority of its roster from kids from Iowa, or definitely guys that we we're in on early in the process recruiting. These are guys that we wanted them from the beginning, and then there's some buy-in into the program, right? If you're relying on a bunch of transfer guys, they have no loyalty to the state of Nebraska. They have no loyalty to the coaching staff. They have no loyalty to the guys that, they're not part of a recruiting class that all came in together and, they're playing for each other. So when things start to kind of go bad, this is what happens, right? So now you got a bunch of guys who are out there playing for the name on the back of the jersey, not the name on the front of the jersey. Jason, is there anything to that? Am I talking crazy talk here?
Yeah, you're talking crazy. Well,
okay.
No, I think you made a great point. Yeah. I don't really know how to explain that, but yeah, it's players are they're playing for, Iowa, you have to play for your logo, right?
Right. That's what I mean.
Yeah. You have to. There is no me, because like we always talk about all these 5-star players or 4-stars that come to Iowa and then they end up leaving, right? Or fans love these people. Like, let's just take Deuce, right? Fans loved him. I'm guessing for his name or whatever. They like the Deuce Hogan name. Right?
We all wanted to see him drop a deuce on a defense. That's all,
But
hey, you guys, now listen. I think the fans loved him from the day they heard about his name, but he also tweeted before he ever got to Iowa, "Don't worry, Hawkeye fans, help is on the way."
Well, that's where I was going with that. He was a social media god, right? Mm-hmm. He was having fun on his Instagram. So, but when you got guys like him who come in and the fans just, they love him or whatever, but he can't figure anything out. And then you got kids who come in and they're jerks. Well, Kirk's not going to play a jerk either, right? Mm-hmm. If you're not a team guy, you're just not going to play for Iowa. And that is to a fault, because there's a lot of great players across the country who are just, they think they're God, they're jerks, right? And they're winning. Alabama has a couple, but they're winning national championships with these jerks, right? Because Nick Saban, he'll be like, whatever, you could act the way you want, just as long as we win, I don't care. Kirk won't do that. And that is kind of that's not a positive thing in a way if you really are wanting championships, right? You have to let kids be who they are. Some kids, I mean, I was an arrogant kid. Hell, I thought I was talented as heck, right? I wasn't Division I talent, but you couldn't tell me that, right?
Right.
I understand that as far as when you have these gifts, these kids really do have, and most of them, when you're in high school, I mean, some of us went through high school as cakewalk when we're just average players. You were probably God on your high school team, right? But not compared to what these kids, and these kids went through high school with everybody treating them like they're God. And then you get to Iowa and you start acting like that. Well, Kirk's going to be like, well, you're going to ride the bench. I'm going to show you. You're not who you think you are, right? And Benny Sapp is one that comes to mind who had that issue. He was a stud, right? He ended up playing in the NFL. He went to UNI and balled out, right? He just left Iowa, went to UNI. But he was a stud at Iowa, but he had an attitude issue. And Kirk was like, well, you're not going to. You know, he was treating him like crap, right? So it's, yeah, I mean, there's a lot to what you just said, Paul. And that's it. And if you really do want championships, you got to let some kids be arrogant. I mean, you just do.
Well, I guess it's not so much arrogance as that
confidence.
It's if half of your roster, you know, if you're constantly doing this changeover of, well, we're going to bring in a bunch of transfers from other places, they have no buy-in into the program. They have no, you know, and so, you know, if things are going well, Michigan State last year, right, it's going to be fine. You've got a bunch of talented guys, and, you know, if they're all, you know, going the same direction, everything's fine and dandy. But the minute, you know, some adversity hits Nebraska, all of a sudden now you don't have guys that are bought into the program, that have bought into the Nebraska way for it, or whatever they might call it. You know, right. They're not committed to Husker Nation or whatever. You know, whereas, you know, I think you see that with Iowa, and that is how you go 3-9 in a football season and lose a bunch of games by one score, because when it, you know, when adversity hits, and inevitably it does, it, you know, you don't have guys that are out there with the same mentality, you know, the same group, you know, hey, we're all in this together kind of thing.
Right. Well, maybe. I don't know. Nebraska also has trouble winning basketball games, and their roster is always full of transfer portal people too. But maybe what they need to do at Nebraska is take all those guys with the current team and just go on a field trip, camping trip, or something, and just bond. Just bond. Because I think bonding is a big part of it.
Yeah.
You know? And you know, you said that, Paul, but yeah, I that's where I'm at with that one. I think if you're gonna live off of the transfer portal, then you got to figure out a way to make that transfer portal a team instead of bringing them in just in time for camp and trying to make this all work.
You know? Football is the ultimate team sport, and you know, you can't have 11 individuals out there all trying to do their own thing, or 11 individuals out there all trying to do what they do, versus 11 guys out there all working together.
Or like Brian Ferentz's thing is, you can't worry about everybody else's lawn.
That's right.
If your lawn is going to look like crap.
Yeah. You did talk. You did forget about the trash being thrown on the lawn when you discussed that.
I don't know. That's like your camping thing. That's kind of pushed. That's not real bonding. Like, you know, as far as I understand what you're saying, but like the Iowa bonding is the reason why these players protect each other and they come out publicly to protect each other, is they come in as freshmen.
Correct.
And they like go through everything together. Like they have, I don't want to call it like fake bonding and like pushed, manufactured bonding.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, let's go on a camping trip. Hey, we all have fun, right? If you haven't been there for a while, if you do that right away, when you come in as a senior, Casey Thompson went there to put up yards, right?
Mm-hmm.
Casey Thompson went to run Scott Frost's offense and Whipple's to do what Charlie Jones is doing at Purdue, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what he chose to do. He didn't choose to go to Nebraska to win championships or anything like that. He saw what Mark Whipple did, right, in Pittsburgh with Kenny Pickett, and he thought he would go do exactly that in Nebraska, and it doesn't work that way.
No, and I understand. And I understand what you're saying. Iowa has a chance to build their bonding over 3 to 5 years, depending on how long people stay. They're together from the day one.
Correct.
But if you're going to bring in transfer portals for one season or maybe a second season in some cases, you got to find a way to get those guys to instantly bond so you can instantly win with them.
Correct. These guys.
Am I wrong?
No, it's very military-like in the sense that, one day a week, these guys are going to war, and you need these guys out there all, I hate to use, Coach Fleck here, but you need guys all rowing the boat the same direction. You need 11 guys all rowing the boat.
I don't hate to say it. It's a good moniker. It's a good thing to say. Like, it makes sense, right? It may be cheesy. No matter how you look at it, it might be cheesy to you. But when everybody's rowing the boat the same direction, the team goes. I mean, that's what makes the team, right? Everybody believes in the same thing.
And the other thing too is it takes time, right? There's already a natural turnover in college football because guys graduate and whatever get career-ending injuries, whatever the case may be, right? So there's turnover, natural turnover every year. And now when you add a bunch of new faces via the transfer portal, the other thing with that too is you're creating almost kind of a is my spot safe condition, right? Like you got guys wondering, okay, well, are they going to bring me back next year? Do I need to go to the transfer portal? Do I need to think about moving on? Do I have time to develop in the system? And that's when Iowa especially is at its best when we've got our, third year guys, 4 years in the program. They're the ones that are out on the field.
Right.
And you can't get that if you get a bunch of guys who are transferring in as juniors or seniors transferring in, there's just no buy-in into the program, and there's no, hey, I'm willing to go put my body on the line for you. No, Dean, what you're talking about with the camping trip, you got me thinking about Remember the Titans, like that's
kind of where I was going with that, but also also there was a time when there's a movie and I can't find it when Bear Bryant was at Alabama and how he bonded his team. There's a whole movie based on that and how much crap he took for that
by not letting him drink water.
Yeah.
Well, okay, but I'm just saying that was back in those days. They wouldn't get away with that today.
No, you're right. I was just messing with you, but yeah, you're right.
If you see social media posts from committed guys, recruits, things like that, it's always like Swarm 22, Swarm 24, whatever. They're part of this class and they're coming in together and you see pictures of them together. They're bonding, as high school seniors from wherever they're from, but they're already, developing these relationships and these bonds before they ever even, step foot on the practice field for
spring. Yeah, well, somebody didn't bond with this running back that decommitted already to keep him in the fold.
He just committed. I mean, it wasn't very long ago he committed. And then he saw, but you got to think about it. How old is Johnson? How old is Caden Johnson? He's a true freshman. Patterson, he's a true freshman.
Right. So he sees Johnson break out on national TV last week and said, "Oh crap, I can't go there next year because I might be a backup."
He's going to be a backup, right? He's got to come in and learn the system and all that. Mm-hmm. And he saw what Johnson did. Notice how he decommitted after the Johnson game.
Right. Right.
It's a huge difference when you have a true freshman going off than if it would have been somebody else who's like a junior or whatever, right?
Mhm.
Who's going to be on the way out. Literally, he'll be a true sophomore next year when Raphael would have came in as a true freshman.
Right.
So either way, he would have been competing for carries, for a couple more years. And if he's not a competitor, if he like has in his mind that he wants to be the all-time leading rusher, he wants to start right away. He probably thought he was going to start right away at Iowa, right? Yeah. And seeing what happened, I mean, he was like, ugh.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The Williams, they're just sophomores this year, right? Or juniors?
Right. They're
juniors.
Well, I think they're redshirt sophomore. Well, LaShawn, I believe, is a sophomore. Gavin, I think, is a redshirt sophomore.
Okay.
I believe Gavin's been there 3 years because I watched him in the state championship game. That had to be 3 years ago when he was at.
Also, so, I just want to point out too, this is not an Iowa City West kid. This isn't a Des Moines,
the Florida
kid from Proctor. He's here in Florida. I live here in Florida. Let me tell you, and if and he's a 4-star recruit, I think by at least some services, right?
No, he is. He's a 4-star. He's a high 4-star.
A high 4-star.
And this year, he's like he may be end up a 5-star because he's going nuts in high school.
Right.
Right.
And now all of a sudden you've got the Florida State, Miami. You've got Georgia maybe looking at him. I don't know. Alabama. I don't know. But what I can tell you is we can't score against South Dakota State. And you don't think that the high school friends are kind of chirping at Iowa? You're sticking with that? That's where you want to go?
I honestly don't think that had anything to do with it, or he would have decommitted then. Like I think it had a lot to do with what Johnson did as a true freshman.
Yeah, I mean that could definitely play a role.
That's why he decommitted right after that game.
Yeah.
Like you could say that, but I know that's what Iowa fans will say, right? The ones who don't like the coaching staff. But he would have been thinking it before. He wouldn't have waited until all of a sudden a freshman running back goes off and then change his mind. But to the point with how good his high school year is going, Florida may became a calling, right?
Yeah, we don't know who's come calling at this time. I've heard Oregon has some interest.
All those teams probably could have came a calling, and you're not going to go to Iowa if you're a Florida kid and you're a Florida fan. Florida State. I think Florida State's even undefeated right now.
Those schools weren't recruiting him before, but now they are.
Correct. And even
There's
if they
no honor among thieves. No honor. Guy commits and says he's 100% committed. Please honor my commitment, and yet they still come after him.
He's 17. I mean, he's 8. And with NIL, hell, Florida.
Right.
Iowa don't do the NIL. What they do is when you show up on campus is when you're NIL. Like you make your own for the most part. They have the NIL thing, right, where you get a meet and greet and those players get that money, but they don't get the money until they actually come to Iowa. Whereas Quinn Ewers, this drives me nuts. I understand because I had him as the best quarterback in his class. However, he went to Ohio State, got $2 million. Iowa can't do that.
No.
He went to Ohio State as a true freshman, did not see playing time, collected a check for $2 million, and transferred to Texas.
Right. Where he's also probably getting handsomely paid.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm just saying, like, Ohio State wasted $2 million. Iowa can't just waste $2 million to get a guy to come on campus. That's the biggest thing, is what I think may destroy, and why Nick Saban is so trying to be all, this is not good for college football. While I agree with him, he's just mad that now all his advantages are gone.
Well, I'm just wondering if maybe he's fed up with the way college football was going and he saw it coming and bailed a couple of years ago in mid-season just because, he goes, I can't take this anymore. I know he says he always used his health when he left Florida. Used his health when he left Ohio State.
Well, you're talking Urban Meyer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, what did I say?
I was
Nick
talking about
Saban.
Nick Saban.
Yeah. Nick Saban's still around. Yeah, never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, Quinn Ewers.
We've beaten them both. We've beaten them both when they were at other schools.
If we circle this back to Iowa, Quinn Ewers is exactly the reason why fans should absolutely be allowed to boo players, right? I mean, if you can make $2 million without ever having taken a snap, you know what? You're no longer the innocent little college boy who's just trying to pass math 101 and play football as a hobby. No.
No, I mean
You're a millionaire, and now there's expectations for you to go out and perform.
right.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, because it's become a business now. It's no longer a college sport; it's a business.
Yeah, you're no longer the innocent.
It's nutty, but for people who talk about all this nonsense, when I was just saying, I mean, they're going to still do their thing, but the kids they get are going to be kids, and their recruiting is still doing great. Don't get me wrong. But they're going to get kids who actually want to go to Iowa. Correct. They want to play for Iowa. They're going to want to they love the coaching staff. They're not going to be able to get kids like Quinn who are like $2 million. He reclassified himself. He actually graduated high school a year early so he could go collect that $2 million and then transfer to Texas, which was the school he wanted anyway. I mean, that is just the craziest. I don't even know how to explain that. I get a loss for words just talking about it, because you know how we could graduate early in high school. Mm-hmm. Like, he was able to graduate early, so he just reclassified and went to Ohio State as an 18-year-old, 17, 18-year-old, collected $2 million, went to Texas.
And that was the point I was making about the big difference between Iowa and Nebraska, right? So you get 20, 22 guys in a recruiting class at Iowa. They all want to come to Iowa because they want to play for the Ferentzes. They want to play for Phil Parker. They want to they want to play for the Tiger Hawk on the helmet.
Right.
You're not getting that at Nebraska.
No, you're 100% accurate. I mean, I agree. But like, to talk about Rutgers real quick, what I was saying, Dean, they beat Wagner 66-7. Okay.
Well, we're waving at Terry.
Oh, hi, Terry. Wagner lost to St. Francis, Pennsylvania, 27-7. Wagner lost to Fordham, 48-31. So Wagner hasn't won a game and hasn't really had a close game. Mm-hmm. So that's why the spread is where it's at and everything, is because Rutgers stats are. I think they had 600 yards of total offense too against Wagner.
Okay. So what? Let's turn that around, and they've also beaten Boston College. What's Boston College doing this year? And Temple.
They suck. They're 1-2. They beat Maine. Their only victory is Maine.
Boston College.
Yes.
It wasn't like that great of a win over Maine.
Yeah, it wasn't huge. Boston College is bad too. And Temple, they By the
way, I want to say something about Temple. There is I think it's CJ Warner, Kurt Warner's son, starts for the Temple team.
Yeah. Temple is 1-2 as well. Their only win is over Lafayette, and Duke beat Temple 30-0.
And Northwestern lost to Duke.
Oh yeah, like what was it, 31-27 or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but Northwestern also lost to Southern Illinois. So
right.
who lost to Incarnate Word.
Right.
So we have all these teams. Everybody's all talking smack about with Nevada and Incarnate Word. And I mean, heck, they beat Southern Illinois, who beat Northwestern. So it's not.
You put a goose egg on the game this week, and last week I went with a goose egg, and you guys did not, and I was so confident. And are you as confident as I was last week about that goose egg?
Well, yeah. The only way they scored, I don't remember picking Nevada to score any points last week either.
You did. I think both you and
But anyway,
Paul here, pick 6 points for him.
I thought they might get a field goal or a defensive score. I mean, coming into the game, Nevada was leading the country in turnover margin. They're like +9. Iowa did a great job of holding on to the football.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, they didn't have one interception. They got one cornerback who already has 4 picks on the year.
Yeah,
and that includes 0 against Iowa. So, I mean, anyway. Yeah, I mean, I'm confident just like the defense isn't going to allow a point. The only way Rutgers scores in my mind is an offense doing something stupid.
Right.
Like the only way South Dakota State scored was the offense doing something stupid, right? He threw an interception right before half, and South Dakota State got maybe 1 or 2 first downs and kicked a field goal. The only way Iowa's defense has gave up a point this year, other than that 99-yard drive, is because of Iowa's offense.
Right.
And by the way, I mean, you got to tip your cap to Iowa State a little bit. I mean, there's just not a lot of teams that are going to be able to go 99 yards. I mean, Iowa's best drive of the season started, at the 2-yard line or something last week, and it wound up in a field goal. And that was our best put together drive of the year so far.
Right.
It's hard. It is tough to go. It's tough to go 80 yards and score. Right.
Well, I think they're going to continue to see more of what they're saying is they're going to try to they're going to try to pressure him as much as they can until Petras proves that he can make those throws.
They have to do what they did last week. Brian has to be able to run his offense. Like I've been in a lot of conversations about this, and Brian, he's down in the dump, right? He's just in a funk because he's not able to do his thing. This is why I'm saying publicly now, I think this is Brian's last year in Iowa City. Unless you see the same type of stuff you saw last week against Nevada, which is what Brian wants to do. He doesn't want to run the ball into an 8-man box. That's the head coach saying, no, we got to keep doing this, right? And the fact that the head coach says he don't believe in 7-on-7. I could go on a tire. No, I mean,
let's go in it. No. You brought it up. Explain it.
No,
they run it 7-on-7. I've seen it run in practice.
No, they in the off season, and maybe they do a little bit, but he doesn't believe in it. Your head coach don't believe in what you're doing, and he says it's boring. When that's the only way you really pick up the freaking passing game is in 7-on-7.
You know what? Wait a minute. You know why 7-on-7 is boring to him? Because it actually moves the football and scores points.
Well, he
doesn't like to move the football and score points.
Okay, this is my thing. Okay, this is what 7-on-7 teaches you, and then I'll get off my rant. 7-on-7 teaches you that when everything is clean, it teaches you how to read a defense, right? Yes, bodies are going to fall around you, but not on every play. There's a reason Petras is the exact same quarterback with a clean pocket and then when people are falling around him, right? What 7-on-7 teaches you is how to read a defense. It teaches your receivers how to read a defense, know if you're running against your routes against man or zone, and it has the quarterback. You have to complete like 80% of your throws with a clean pocket. And that is what 7-on-7 does. There's a reason why Iowa quarterbacks, and it just made me go back 20 freaking years of Iowa quarterbacks, is why they are who they are. And it doesn't matter if you get great pass protection or not. Petras is the exact same. It's not going to, it doesn't change. He's had so many clean pockets this year with wide open wide receivers, and he was missing. And that explains it. I know coaches who have really good offenses. My favorite, Mike Leach, they run 7-on-7 all the time, like a couple times a week. That's how you learn the air raid. And that's exactly how you would learn Iowa's passing offense. You could still do play action passes in 7-on-7. You just don't have the line there. But when Petras turns around and he gets to see the coverage, that's how you freaking learn it. Mm-hmm. You can't just have the lineman up there on every play. I mean, you can, but it doesn't make any sense The linemen should be off learning lineman things, right? You don't learn playbooks as a team. You learn playbooks as individual positions, right? And then you come together as a team. And when the play is called, you know what your job is by that play call because you learned it over here. You know how hard it would be to learn plays as a team? I'm not saying that's what they do because you can't do that. But it's the same principle as with 7-on-7 is you have your skill position players do your play action pass, have Petrus's back to the defense, but then he'll turn and see the coverage. And that's what it is. It's the same dang thing, but you have to run 7-on-7. Linemen need time to themselves as well, right? So you use the 7-on-7 time for the linemen to do their thing. So, I mean, that's my rant, and that explains a lot of Iowa's passing game.
All right.
I'm really
We're coming
shocked.
up on it. Let's go to our game predictions.
I love it.
Dean,
are we going to be tracking these? So come Monday,
I'm going to write them down.
Okay.
Okay, so
you get me all fired up, then you cut me off for these picks. So nobody puts their 2 cents in. I get all fired up. You tell me to, and then all of a sudden, oh well.
Okay. Let me tell you. I don't know a lot about the 7-on-7. I just assumed they were practicing that during the week on 7-on-7. I did not know that it was something that Kirk didn't like. I just assumed it was part of their routine. So, and I would agree with you. I don't know a lot about it, but if that's what is hurting our quarterbacks by not being able to do that, then yeah, I agree. I'm 100% behind you on that rant. Paul?
I have nothing to add.
Okay. All right, let's go with these picks. The first pick is Baylor at Iowa State. I don't have the point spreads. Our lock of the week guy might have the point spreads on these.
I don't have a lock of the week yet.
Okay.
Because it's been a struggle for me. But Iowa State is favored by 2.5.
Okay. Wow. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So who's?
I got Iowa State.
You got Iowa State.
Yep.
Okay. How about you, Paul?
Yeah. I think Baylor is the better football team, but the game's at Iowa State, and this is that situation they have once a year, just sort of like Iowa does. Somebody's going to go in there that's the better team, the higher ranked team, and lose. It's Baylor. Baylor's going to be that team for Iowa State. I'm hoping it's going to be Michigan for Iowa, but yeah.
I agree.
Okay, I'm going to take Baylor in this one, guys. I'm just going to take it straight up. Baylor.
Is Coach Doyle's son still playing for them?
What's that?
He's their starting linebacker.
That's what I thought. Dylan Doyle? Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's their starting middle linebacker. He's one of their linebackers.
I didn't realize he was still around. Jeez. He must be using his COVID year. Okay. Maryland at Michigan, guys. I don't know why I put this one in here. This one might be a gimme.
Yeah, it's a gimme.
I take Michigan.
Good choice.
Right. Yeah, I think we all agree on Michigan here.
Okay.
Michigan's favored by 17, by the way.
Who is they are?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we got Florida at Tennessee.
Wait a minute. Hold up. This could be a classic trap game for the Wolverines.
Why? Because I got Iowa the following week?
They could get caught peeking ahead to the big noon kickoff that they're going to have in Kinnick here under the sun instead of under the lights, right? So,
now let's go back to this big noon kickoff that they got, that Fox has chosen this game because we were practically guaranteed when we lost to Iowa State that we were going to be picked up for a night game and not the noon kickoff. Darn it. They lied to us.
I don't think so. I look,
I don't like this noon kickoff that Fox is doing.
Well,
it takes away all the fun of a night game at Iowa City.
But that's Fox. Their biggest game of the week is always the big noon kickoff.
right.
I know it. I know that. I hate the fact that they chose to do that instead of taking a prime time game.
Well,
Say, hey, our biggest game needs to be prime time.
So if we're the big noon kickoff, are we getting the big noon kickoff show like they did for Penn State and all of that? Are they going to have, all the festivities here in Iowa City?
I don't know. I forget where they're at this week.
I think that depends on how Iowa does against Rutgers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I will say this. As I kind of like, I'd rather have the noon kick for the Michigan game. I mean, Iowa doesn't need to play 3 night games in a row. It's just that kind of, I don't know. I'm fine with it.
Okay. All right.
Let's get up and play some football, boys.
Okay. Florida at Tennessee.
I got Tennessee.
I got Tennessee. Paul, it's your home state.
Just to be different, I'll take the Gators in an upset here. Did you guys see that video of the Tennessee wide receiver beat the crap out of a defensive back last week? He's like suspended for the first half of the game or something. Threw like 5 punches. He was ejected from the game.
What's his name?
I don't know. I'd have to look it up, but
I'll look it up.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. That's depending on what receiver. That's going to be a killer.
Yeah, the Tennessee ran the football. It was a running play. The wide receiver was out blocking on the defensive back. They kind of stalemated. I didn't see anything on the play. Maybe one guy said something to the other guy. I don't know. But next thing you know, the Tennessee guy is just wailing on this kid. And, I mean, 4 or 5 punches right to the helmet. And, strangest thing.
That's
Did the other kid get suspended too?
No, I don't think so. He didn't retaliate.
He just kept his helmet on. He's like, dude, hey, hit me again.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, Wisconsin at Ohio State. I've got Ohio State.
Yeah. I mean, well, you already know how we feel about Ohio State with their embarrassment of riches.
If the game was in Madison, I might go out on a limb and say, hey, you know what? Wisconsin pulls the upset here, but it is just damn hard to beat a good team. And it's even harder to beat a good team in Columbus.
Not only that, their corners are hurt. So they have all backup corners against that Ohio State receivers.
That wouldn't matter to me.
Marvin Harrison Jr.
You could put, you could take the last 10 years Wisconsin best defensive backs and put them out there, and I'd still take Ohio State.
Is this the year that Ohio State finally wins their national title?
I mean, it's the year they should.
Okay.
I can't say they will.
Finally,
I think Georgia might have something to say about that, but Ohio State definitely needs to be in the mix. Should be in the mix.
So we dropped the USC at Oregon in favor of Minnesota at Michigan State. So how do you guys like that game?
I'm rowing the boat.
Yeah.
You're going with Minnie.
I'm going with Minnie and hoping I'm wrong.
Right.
Okay, guys, I'm going the other way.
You have Minnesota winning.
Yeah.
No. Here's the deal. I said they're probably in a good position to win the West because of the way they're playing. However, I did pick them to go 5-7 in regular season because now they're getting to the meat of their schedule, which is going to be really rough. And so we'll see. This will tell me more about what Minnesota really is this week or not.
Well,
where Michigan State is. I think it says a lot about both teams' season right now.
You just did a 180 on me. You're acting like me. You and I just switched places. I've been telling you how Minnesota hasn't played anybody, and then now you're acting like that. I mean, this game does say a lot, but I'm just going to go with the way I saw Michigan State play last week.
Mm-hmm.
it was just weird. So I'm going to go with Minnesota for, just because the way they're playing. Let's see what they do though. But if they do their normal PJ Fleck game day coaching mistakes like he always does against Iowa, then Michigan State could win.
Yeah. Well, I think Minnesota, there's no doubt they're playing well with what they're doing right now. They're playing probably even better than I thought, but I also thought they would be 3-0 at this point, which I believe they are. Or are they 2-0?
Yeah. I think we all had them 3-0. They haven't played anybody yet.
Right. It's just the way they're beating teams. So, but this will tell a lot about if I'm right about where their season goes from here, or where my secondary thoughts after seeing the first couple of games for everybody, thinking, okay, I no longer got Iowa winning the West, but now I pushed Minnesota in there.
Yeah, I'm going to row the boat until but I got to see it happen on game day.
Right.
So, both coaches struggle with game day coaching, so we'll find out. PJ Fleck, I think they have more talent. I told you, though, I love Michigan State's quarterback, but good Lord, he struggled last week. So, and that Michigan State defense is not fixed. So, they had the worst passing defense in the country last year, and they don't look much better.
Well, they went 10-2 last year.
With the worst passing defense, they were the opposite of Iowa. Yeah. Iowa went 10-2 with the defense. Michigan State went 10-2 with the offense. So, they legit were the very worst passing defense in the country.
By the way, fair to bring up too. Not only will this be Minnesota's first test that they've had, but they're also going to be without Chris Ottman-Bell for the rest of the year.
He's a wide receiver.
Yes.
Okay. Just to point out too, Minnesota's primarily run-first team now. They do a lot of running, and so if they got a bad pass defense, that does not that helps Michigan State's cause if Minnesota decides to run the ball.
Been a run first, but Minnesota always has been a run first, but now they're back to their 2019 ways where they run that RPO.
But they don't have the receivers they had in 2019. They don't have those guys, and now they're without Ottman-Bell, who is he's their Keegan Johnson. So,
but they have their OC, right? And they run these.
They'll probably have him back just in time for Iowa game.
He's out for the year.
He's out for the year.
Yeah, he's out for the year. He had to have knee surgery or something like that. He had to have.
Speaking of knee surgery, guess who found out yesterday he has to have knee surgery? Me.
Oh.
So.
Well, good luck with that.
Yeah, I guess I tore a meniscus.
We're over an hour here. Should we do our final predictions for the Iowa Rutgers game?
Yeah, let's do that, and then we can get out of here. By the way, I'm kind of concerned about what YouTube is doing to us because we've had no viewers today, and we've always consistently had 2 to 3 viewers who are always on this show. So I'm going to go check and see what YouTube's done to us today again. Anyway, all right, guys, go for your picks.
Yeah, you'd have thought we'd mentioned Donald Trump or something.
Now we're screwed.
Yeah.
Well, last week we went from having live comments to having it turned off because we said something in the show that made it unworthy toward kids. But yet I always click that this is not for kids because if you do that, then you limit your audience.
Right.
So I don't know what we said. It wasn't explained to me. I was able to turn the comments back on, which, I did, but I don't know.
Wow, we don't even cuss.
I know it. We must have, maybe we offended a Nevada person last week.
It's Karen.
All right, we better get rolling.
Yeah.
What do you have, Paul?
It was probably some Karen out there, whatever. If you're listening, Karen, thanks.
Go ahead, Paul, with your pick.
All right. Obviously, we are where we're at here with this, right? We both think the defenses are going to run the day. I think both special teams are pretty good. especially the punting units and that. Like, this is going to come down to which team makes the mistake. I have just a little more trust in our senior quarterback than I do whatever, the QB situation is going to be with Rutgers. And I see Iowa winning this one close, 17-3.
17-3?
17.
I mean, that'd be better than my score because that means we scored 17 points.
Well, I think we might get a pick 6 out of that. So maybe 10 total. You
think Terry's due? That poor guy.
Absolutely. Yeah, Terry's due for one, or DeJean gets one. Maybe they screw around and actually throw towards Riley Moss once. I mean,
right. Poor Moss.
This reminds me of Desmond King's senior year, right? Where
they didn't throw to him.
Yeah.
So this will be the week that Terry Roberts gets his pick 6. He's been screwed out of it twice already.
Right. Well, he didn't get screwed out of the first one. He fell down.
He fell.
Yeah. But that second one was, God, how do you line up offsides?
I'm predicting a pick 6 from one of the 3 defensive backs, and I'm also gonna call for a strip fumble sack from Aaron Graves.
Oh, nice.
Okay, cool.
I like it.
I'm going to take Iowa 18-6, a little more offensive minded than I thought it would be. So,
what, 6 field goals? Like 18?
There's going to be a lot of field goals in it.
9 safeties? Where are we going with this?
I'm thinking like a touchdown and a couple of maybe a missed field, maybe an extra point. I don't know. I say 18-6. I see some field goals being scored.
Dean, don't you speak that kind of thing into existence? You know what? We need some salt or something. Talk about missing extra points.
Right.
You know how many games we've actually gone in and won with just field goals over Kirk Ferentz's career?
But that 18 points was a kicker. That's speaking something into existence that doesn't say offense.
Right.
But we
beat Iowa State 18-17.
Right. I got Iowa 10-0. I don't see Rutgers doing a darn thing on offense. I think they'll be shell-shocked by Iowa's defensive line. There might be a bunch of turnovers with their quarterback situation. So this could get ugly like the Maryland game. But if it stays true to itself, no turnovers, I got Iowa 10-0.
I like it.
Obviously, with turnovers, it could get ugly, but I just don't see Rutgers scoring. And I'm hoping for the play calling. I'm hoping we can run Brian's offense this week. I'm hoping.
I'm going to guess not, because they're on the road against Rutgers. Kirk Ferentz, this is a situation where he goes conservative.
No, don't guess. With Brian, I mean, if that's true, then he doesn't really care about Brian.
He also doesn't care about winning.
He doesn't care about Brian because Brian is he's in the funk. He's not doing well because of all this. He's thinking about his future, and if he doesn't let Brian do his thing, then Kirk is a bigger butthead than I could ever dream of, because this is his son, right? This is his son regardless of anything, and they can do what they did last week against Nevada with the throwing game. I'm not talking about the running, because I still think Iowa might struggle with the running game. But you know how you back them up? You know what opens up the running game? Just throw it. You have wide open receivers. Petrus will hit some of them. I mean, he's going to eventually start to hit those. He did last year. He hit a few. Keegan's first touchdown last year was an over-the-shoulder 50-yard touchdown, right?
I think he's going to get Breck. I think he's going to get Breck on one this week.
Well, apparently he did. He got one in practice, so
so they practice this. He's going to get it this week.
I hope so.
He's going to say, "Okay, Spencer, I'm going to look the right way this time. I'm going to look the way the ball's supposed to be coming at me."
Right. I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah, that play was weird because in practice, that's how you throw it. Spencer threw it perfect the way you would in practice. There was no safety over the middle, So maybe that's why Breck thought Spencer would have threw it here, because he should have saw there was no safety. And obviously the easiest pass is the inside. But where Spencer threw it is where you do in practice, because you're expecting a possible safety on the inside, right?
Yeah.
So
Don't
that
forget
play was
now,
just weird.
Schiano was the defensive coordinator at Ohio State when Iowa put up the double nickel on the Buckeyes in 2017.
No kidding.
He was. So I don't know if Rutgers employs a lot of those same defensive strategies now that they were running at Ohio State when he was their defensive coordinator. Obviously, Schiano has a defensive coordinator. I don't think he's calling the defense, but I'm hopeful that Iowa maybe turns on that tape and looks at some of the things that we did against Ohio State and says, okay, if Rutgers is going to employ similar strategies here, this is what we can do to beat them, because that was very effective.
Because Iowa has two very good tight ends. They could do what they did.
Does Lachey have a target this year?
Yeah, he's got a catch.
Oh, he's got a catch.
He's got
2 catches. Lachey has 2.
Okay.
And then I believe he had one target that where he was thrown out of bounds. So,
and what has happened to the other kid? I think he was a transfer, or starts with a V. I heard he had a big kids day, and then I don't even know if we've seen
Vines, Devontae Vines.
No, not him. The tight end. I think we had a transfer tight end that.
Oh
yeah, he didn't. He's not on the. He's not even number 3.
Yeah, we haven't seen him, but I saw a video. I thought of him at the kids' day practice, catch a ball and just maul his way into the end zone.
Oh, okay. Yeah, for some reason they're higher on this freshman than they are on this guy.
Okay.
He could be hurt. Who knows? I mean, I don't know, but I know exactly who you're talking about. But we get Vines back in a couple weeks. That'll be huge for the wide receivers as well. I'm just hoping Brian gets to run his offense. Let him go out with a bang. Let him go out his way.
Yeah,
right?
I think so.
If you're going to lose, you're going to lose regardless.
Yeah. He's just got to allow him to do his thing. You don't, I'm sure he's not telling Phil Parker how to run his defense.
I don't think you'd get away with it.
Yeah,
I think Phil Parker's style defense is Kirk Ferentz's defense.
Okay.
Just kind of like Norm Parker. I'll go back to there was a game last year, or no, 2 years ago, where we sent a double safety blitz with Gervais and the little dude, number 9. Oh, he's playing for the Titans. Anyway, he's playing for the Ravens.
Giants, right?
What?
Doesn't he play for the Giants? You're talking about
anyway.
Or maybe he plays for the Ravens. I don't know.
He's the Ravens. Yeah, he's playing for the Ravens.
Okay.
He's a little dude. He had a pretty good game. But anyway, it was at the end of the first half, and Phil set a double safety blitz, and both safeties got to the quarterback, surprised the heck out of the team. And at halftime, Kirk was all like, when he did his halftime interview or whatever on his way off the field, the reporter even called it, asked him about it. That was one heck of a blitz. And he's like, yeah, I was a little scared on that one. Like, he was all nervous because he thought because we were setting the safeties that he could throw it up. He doesn't want to do anything that's exciting. Right? He doesn't want to do anything that can like cause something that might happen. There could have been a turnover or something that might happen. He doesn't want to risk like very few things. Even a double safety blitz made him sweat. And it worked to perfection. So both Norm and Phil's defense are pretty the same, other than the cash position.
Yeah.
That's what Phil brought. But other than that, it's all been, zone defense, rush 4. Actually, Phil's actually done more blitzing than Norm ever did, right?
Absolutely. But I think we've had a different level of athlete, especially in the back end. Norm had some really, really talented guys, Bob Sanders and Greenway and that. But I mean, he never had Desmond King. He never had
Moss. He didn't really have a Moss.
Did Norm have like a Hyde? Was Hyde still around for Norm, or maybe at the very end of Norm Parker?
It would have been at the very end.
The very tail end.
It would have been close to the very. Well, no. Hyde played with Tyler Stash.
Right.
So that would have been 2009 and 2010, right?
Yeah.
Trick or treat, Iowa City. The trick or treat play.
Norm was gone in 2012.
Okay.
That's when Phil took over. Was 2012.
Really? He's okay. I did not realize that Norm had been. I thought he left before that.
But Phil was coaching the defensive backs during that era, was he not? He was the DB coach.
Yeah.
So
Phil's always been the DB coach. Like that's just his thing. That's why what's awesome. You know how I talk about my quarterbacks and receivers doing push-ups? Petrus would have freaking so much. Petrus would be built if I was his coach. But did you hear Cooper when he dropped the pick six talk about how he's going to have to do his push-ups on that one?
Yeah,
that tells you that they're held accountable. Like Phil Parker, if it hits your hand, you got to catch it like a receiver, right? Yeah. There is no drop in interceptions.
Speaking of Cooper, everybody, if you haven't seen the basketball highlights video that Jason posted of Cooper in high school, you guys got to check that out. I mean, I think we could use him. I think we could use him on our basketball team right now. But I mean,
we wouldn't get him till January.
I made the comment on the video that he posted. You don't really get an appreciation for how hard it is to dunk a basketball because you see these guys do it and you think that that this is a normal thing. Go step onto a basketball court. Go to your local YMCA and look up and see how high that basket actually is. Now, and again, I get these guys are maybe a little bigger than the average human being, even at 6'2" or 6'3". I'm not sure what Cooper is.
He's only 6 foot.
6 foot.
See how he was flying at 6 foot? I mean, he's 2 inches taller than me.
Right.
He was flying.
Go ahead.
And he wasn't like just getting the ball over the rim, kind of finger rolling. No, he's up above the rim, catching alley-oops and stuff. So I mean, his athletic prowess is just off the charts.
Yeah.
I gotta relate a YMCA story real quick here. When I would go play with men's basketball at our local YMCA, I would go every morning because we'd play every morning or at 6 o'clock before everybody went their separate ways. We had one guy, probably about 6'6", 6'7" on there. Very thick guy. I'm not even going to guess his weight at that height. Probably close to 300. He decided he was going to dunk it one game, and he tore down the rim and the backboard and kind of ended our games for a few days.
Yeah, that happens. That happens when you hold on to the rim instead of just flushing it. Yeah. But, if you want to watch Cooper's brother, I might share that tonight. He plays quarterback for the Falcons. It's OABCIG. Like, it's Iowa's way of putting 6 towns in one school. But, I mean, it's a smaller school. I mean, his younger brother is the same. Last week they were losing, and then he went 88 yards for a touchdown, and they never looked back. So obviously they're missing Cooper as well, but even his younger brother's doing great. Can you guys hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is my phone. I want to show you guys real quick. They have new Ray Gahini jerseys. Can you see that?
No, you got to put it in front of the camera.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. You can buy these now because now this is how you pronounce his name.
And that's funny. That's funny how that came out after we just had a whole God.
I know it.
I don't know how.
I told you wrong. I told you this is how it's pronounced, and I was wrong.
We just had a whole discussion about how to spell Padilla or how to pronounce Padilla and all, and then that came out the same week. It's like somebody put it in the universe and told him that, hey, everybody's saying your name wrong.
You know what? I'm sure he feels like, look, you can call me Rigatoni if you want, as long as I play well. I don't care. Call me whatever.
He said in the interview when they asked him about it, he just said that he goes, well, how did they tell you to pronounce it or something or something like that? And Chad told him, and he says, whatever my dad told you. He goes, pronounce it that way. He didn't seem to really care how they pronounced his name.
All right.
Okay, guys. I think that's good enough for now.
Yeah.
Hey, Terry.
We'll see you on Monday.
Bye, Terry.
I'm going to go find out what's going on with our YouTube because I got a feeling we have a very limited audience this morning. All right.
Yep.
Take care, guys. I'll see you guys on Monday. Talk to you over the weekend.
Yep.